இந்த பொதுக்கூட்டத்துக்கு தலைவர் தோழர் Krishnan அவர்களே, மேடையில் இருக்கும் CPIM ஓட தமிழ்நாடு செயலாளர் தோழர் பாலகிருஷ்ணன் அவர்களே, தோழர் காமராஜ் அவர்களே, தோழர் சரஸ்வதி அவர்களே, தோழர் முத்துக்கண்ணன் அவர்களே, இங்கே இந்த பெரிய பேரணிக்கு வந்திருக்க தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்களே, எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். Dear comrades, on the 106th anniversary of the great November Revolution, it is very heartening to note that the CPIM Tirupur District Committee has organized thousands of people from across the district in remembering this historic revolution which changed the entire world and transformed the way the working class and the peasantry looks at the society and works for bringing about a transformation in the society. It is very important to keep memories alive of the great socialist revolution which opened the doors for the liberation of not just what is known as Soviet Union, but also a lot many countries across the globe, millions of workers and peasants across the globe, and millions of oppressed people across the globe, for whom a new light, a new hope was created by the great socialist revolution. For the first time in the world, it was proved that the working class and the peasantry can run a country's government, and it is the ruling class of that country would be the working class and peasantry. It would not be the exploiting classes. It would not be the classes that are oppressing the masses. And that we have to know what is the kind of anger that has created among the ruling classes. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, then I was as a young boy, I was reading the newspapers. I found that the entire Soviet literature, the communist literature, was sold as waste paper to a Turkish company. And this Turkish company made paper plates out of the Soviet literature. That is the kind of anger that the ruling classes had on the great Soviet Union. Why is the exploiting classes upset with the great revolution? It is to be understood that these countries, the imperialist countries, were plundering the different colonies that were under their control. They were looting the resources of those countries, and the working class and the peasantry were also being oppressed. In such circumstances, the Soviet Union, immediately after the revolution, within one day of coming to the, after the revolution, within one day, the decree on land was passed. All the land of the feudal landlords was seized and it was distributed among the landless people, among the peasantry. All the rents that they had, the farmers had to pay to the feudal landlords, that was cancelled. And also the temple lands and different, not the temple, the religious, the land under the control of religious institutions, that was given to the farmers of the country. Also, there was no compensation given to the feudal landlords. That is the kind of change that it brought about as far as the peasantry are concerned. All the factories were brought under the control of the working class. For the first time, the capitalist class who were controlling the companies, the factories, who were only interested in generating profits, maximizing profits, their control was ended and the working class started controlling the factories. The working hours were reduced. Only 8 hours of work. In the entire world, the struggle was going on. But within few days of the revolution, 8 hours of work was implemented. Equal work for equal pay. For all the women also, equal pay. That was something which was implemented. Maternity benefits, pensions, housing, and many other benefits that the working class got because of this revolution. That is the kind, and it was the rule of the working class in alliance with the peasantry that we had in the Soviet Union. But the comrades in Soviet Union did not rest with liberation of the people of their country alone. They said it is the entire world has to be liberated. The working class in the entire world has to be liberated. There cannot be any country which is not free. There cannot be, the colonial rule cannot be allowed. And so the Lenin's thesis on colonialism, it was very clear that the self-determination of the countries should be ensured. So in many of the countries, from India, in China, in different countries, it also helped in the development of the movement of the working class, development of the movement against the colonial imperialist countries that were ruling these countries. So in that way, it paved the way for independence of many, many countries which were till then tied by the chains of imperialism. So that is a major achievement that has happened, and India also has benefited from that. Today, India is being ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh is controlling them, the fascist forces. But when Indian people were fighting for independence, the leaders of the Indian independence movement, whether it is Bal Gangadhar Tilak or Bhagat Singh or Lala Lajpat Rai or the other leaders of the time, why even the Tandai Periyar, all of them were inspired by the gains, the victory of the Soviet people. They were all inspired. If you all know, the first provisional government of India, which was set up in Kabul, the leaders of that first provisional government, both of them met Comrade Lenin, and they were extended all support by the Soviet Union. The working class, the movements were very closely monitored by the Soviet Union, the leaders of the Communist Party there, and in guiding the movement in this part of the world, in different parts of the world, the Communist Party of Soviet Union had a role. It is their contribution also that led to a situation where the revolutionaries of the world mobilized themselves against the colonial masters that were ruling these different countries. After the collapse of Soviet Union, the capitalist world, the imperialist forces, they were proclaiming that this is the end of socialism, this is the end of history, and they were rejoicing when Soviet Union collapsed. Today, but we can proudly say, when the imperialist countries are trying to expand their influence, in every country we are able to build up struggles. The red flag is standing in front of the imperialist forces countering their anti-people march, countering their move to plunder the different nations of this world. That is the kind of struggles that are being built. I would like to point the experience of a country like Chile in 1970, early 1971. In Chile, a left-wing government led by Salvador Allende was in a coup, was removed with the help of the CIA, with the help of the American forces. But just a year and a half before, in Chile, a left-wing government has again come to power, and the young leader who won the elections, he proclaimed, if Chile was the cradle of neoliberalism, Chile will be the graveyard of neoliberalism. That kind of struggles are emerging in different parts of the world. Today, the 56-inch Prime Minister and his boss, Mohan Bhagwat, they are telling that they were till now claiming that there is no red flag, but they are now telling the red flag is there in Kerala, a little in other parts. They are the most dangerous forces. This is what Mohan Bhagwat and Narendra Modi are telling. Why is it that they are telling? They know even if we are still not a very big force, but still we are enough. We are going to stand steadfast, rock solid against the divisive policies, against the policies of corporate loot that Narendra Modi and BJP are trying to implement in our country. That is the message that the red flag has for the people of this country. That is the message that we will not, the slogans that you are shouting, that we will not allow caste oppression to happen. We will not allow communal violence to happen. We will be in the forefront to resist all those divisive forces which are trying to divide India. Now I would like to speak a little about the Narendra Modi-led BJP government. In the last almost 9 years are complete. They are going to complete 10 years in government. They made very attractive promises. And they promised that all people of this country would get good days. Good days would come for all people. Achhe din aayenge. The price rise would be controlled. The attacks on women would be stopped. Farmers' incomes will be doubled. Agriculture workers will get 200 days of work under the NREGA, will get more wages. Our youth will get at least 2 crores jobs every year. But in the last 10 years, each one of these promises has been broken. In the last 10 years, more than 1 lakh farmers and agriculture workers have committed suicide. In this 10 years, about 3 lakh daily wage workers have committed suicide. And also about 50,000 our youth, educated youth, have committed suicide. This is the government figures. Altogether, it is more than 4 lakh committed suicide in India in this last 10 years. In the entire world, you don't have such a government where our people, the people of this land, are in such a crisis that they are forced to commit suicide in such numbers. It is not just today. In the entire history of humankind, you can not find such a phenomena anywhere in the world. That is the kind of government that Narendra Modi and BJP are running for the last 10 years. They had claimed that farmers' incomes will be doubled, but rather than doubling, it has become less than half of what the income was earlier. That is the situation. They had claimed they would give at least 50% more than the cost of production as the minimum support price. What is the reality? Like our comrade Tolar K. Vardarajan used to say, Sini Sakkare Sittappa en Ketal, Eighthile Ezhudi Nakkappa. That is the kind of an approach of this Narendra Modi government. That they are announcing the MSP, but farmers are not benefiting. The MSP of paddy is 2,183 per quintal. But in Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh and other parts of India, since government is not procuring the MSP, there is no MSP, farmers are only getting 800 to 1,000 rupees per quintal. That is the kind of loss that is happening in our country. They had promised that the price rise would be reduced, but they had also promised petrol would be given at 50 rupees a litre. Now petrol and diesel are crossed more than 100 rupees. Gas cylinder is costing more than 1100 rupees. But when I recently went to Rajasthan for the election campaign, what is happening? Narendra Modi's big poster is there. What is the promise to people of Rajasthan? That you elect BJP, then the double engine government will ensure that gas cylinder will be given at 450 rupees. It is Narendra Modi's government which increased the prices from less than 400 to 1100. Now in Rajasthan they are promising that they will give gas cylinder for 450 rupees. There are BJP governments in other states. Why are they not implementing 450 in those states? That is the kind of government. It is a government built on lies. It is a government which thrives on lies and is hoping to win the next election on the basis of lies. I also want to speak about this Toil Nagari, Tirupur. What has happened to Tirupur was being explained by our comrades here. Due to the note ban, due to the demonetization, due to GST, and due to faulty policies of export-import, what has happened to the textile industry here? That is something which we have to speak to the world outside. This is what the government wants to do, because Tirupur textile industry was started and mainly thriving with small, micro, medium enterprises, small and micro and medium enterprises. That is being finished, but they are unable to make profits. Few big corporate companies, 4 or 5 or corporate companies, their profits are increasing. It is for those corporate companies and people like Adani and Ambani that Narendra Modi government is ruling this country. It is against corporate loot that we have to fight. And this fight, our unity, it is not just workers and peasants. The small and marginal, the small, micro, medium industries, they are also should be our allies. The Dalits and Adivasis should be the allies. That kind of a struggle we have to build. Dear comrades, I would like to quote, Nadu Iravil, கொள்ளைக்காரன் ஆயுதத்தை காட்டி மக்களிடம் பணம் பறிப்பது எவ்வளவு கொடுமையானதோ அவ்வளவு கொடுமையானது ஆட்சியாளன் நள்ளிரவில் சட்டத்தை இயற்றி தன் குடிமக்களிடம் அதிக வரி கேட்பது. That is what Narendra Modi government is doing. That we have to expose. And we all know during the COVID pandemic what Narendra Modi did. During the COVID pandemic, we know lakhs of our people suffered from it. Many of them, thousands and thousands of them died. Dead bodies were floating in the Ganga, and there were people who were not having oxygen. In such a time, implementing the lockdown, our workers and farmers' rights were sought to be taken, snatched away by 4 labor codes and 3 pro-corporate farm acts. Against that, a united struggle by workers and farmers, agriculture workers took part in our India, in which with the slogan, Save the Nation, Save Farmers of India, Stop Corporate Loot, the struggle went on for more than 380 days. 750 of our comrades in the struggle died in that struggle. They became martyrs in the struggle. But this 56-inch Prime Minister, he was forced to bend down on his knee and withdraw the 3 anti-farmer acts, and also the labor code has not been implemented so far. That is the kind of struggle, that is the kind of strength that workers and peasants, the unity of workers and peasants can have. And this man who is supposedly has a degree in entire political science, because in the entire world there is no one else who has such a degree. This man who claims to have an entire political science degree, he doesn't understand the simple factor that if workers and peasants come together, no government can stand in front of it. That is the example our neighboring Sri Lanka, where the 56-inch Rajapakses, the Gotabaya Rajapakse and Mahinda Rajapakse, after the workers and peasants, youth and women came together, they were forced to run away flee the country. In 2024, the kind of struggles we will build, we will ensure an atmosphere is created where Narendra Modi and BJP, the RSS, the fascist forces will be defeated. Like the Soviet Union defeated the fascist Hitler, similarly, we will win. And like Bhartiyar said, Achamillai, Achamillai, Achamillai. உச்சிமேடு வானிடிந்து வீகின்ற போகிலும் அச்சமில்லை 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 வெற்றி வர போராடும் வெற்றி வர போராடும். With that much I would like to conclude, because there are other comrades also who have to speak. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you all. Inqilab Zindabad.